Welcome back to another edition of Max and Nikki 1000th Time Reactions.
Today we're going to be reacting to You've Lost That Loving Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. Obviously, we've heard this song way more than 1,000 times. Thousands upon thousands of times, because this is actually, at one point, until fairly recently, was the most played song on the radio of all time. It surpassed Yesterday, and then...
Oh, are you sure about that?
It surpassed Yesterday, and then more recently... Every Breath You Take surpassed this song.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
But Yesterday still remains the most covered song of all time.
I don't know if that's true anymore, but
I think it is.
Anyway, before we get into it, just want to remind you, as we usually do, that we have another channel called Max and Nikki, on which we perform oldies tunes like the one we're about to hear right now, jazz standards, and originals in that vein. And we also have comedy videos on there as well. Anyway, let's listen to You've Lost That Loving Feeling by the Righteous Brothers for our
1000th time.
You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. And there's no tenderness like before in your fingertips. You're trying hard not to show it, but baby, I know it. You lost that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. You lost that love and feeling. Now it's gone, gone, gone. Oh. Now there's no welcome look in your eyes when I reach for you. And though you're starting to criticize little things I do, it makes me just feel like crying. 'Cause baby, something beautiful about it. You lost that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. You lost that love and feeling. Now it's gone, gone, gone. Whoa, whoa. Baby, I'd get down on my knees for you. If you would only love me like you used to do, yeah. We had a love you don't find every day. So don't let it slip away. Baby, I beg you please, I need your love, I need your love. Yeah, bring it on down, bring it on down. Bring back that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. Bring back that love and feeling, 'cause it's gone, gone, gone. And I can't go on. Oh, bring back that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. Bring back that love and feeling, 'cause it's gone.
All right. You've Lost That Loving Feeling by the Righteous Brothers. That Blue-Eyed Soul, as they called it.
Well, did they call it Blue-Eyed Soul back then?
Yeah, I think
that
so.
was something that was applied retroactively.
You know, what's interesting about that song is they actually had a coin flip. Bill Medley and Bobby Hatfield, who would start off the song.
Is that true?
Yeah. And Bill Medley won out.
Bill
So
Medley has the more
deeper baritone voice, and Bobby Hatfield has the higher tenor
voice.
And if you want to hear a Bobby Hatfield, featured song, listen to Unchained Melody. He obviously is, very powerful.
Right.
on
Well, I
that.
think the idea on that was they both were going to take a solo song on that album that song is on. And
But You've Lost That
but
Loving
Bill Medley
Feeling.
produced that.
Could you even imagine You've Lost That Loving Feeling starting off with Bobby Hatfield as, the higher voice? It doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, I just also think,
Arrangement-wise,
but also this has kind of that wall of sound Phil Spector touch to it.
Sure, Phil Spector produced this. Cynthia Weil and Barry Mann wrote it. I guess Phil Spector has a songwriting credit on it. I don't know how much of the songwriting input he had in it.
Right, but you definitely hear, listen how reverbed out, everything else is compared to their lead vocals, which are pretty reverbed out as well, too, right?
Sure, yeah. But when those strings come in, it's everything, by the way, is panned very extremely in this song.
Sure.
And by panning, I mean you hear the instruments on the extreme parts of the stereo spectrum.
Well, but they only could do that at the time. They didn't have, they didn't have the whole spectrum they could deal with, actually. They only had
but
left, right, center.
It's just kind of interesting that there's a point where during that bridge section, you hear the instruments
I think when
just
Nicky's-
in the left, and then you hear the voices kind of all alone over kind of in the center, almost to the right a little bit.
that
you know?
doesn't follow. What do you mean by that?
What?
What do you mean to the center, almost to the right? It's either or.
Right, but I can't remember. That's why. I can't remember what I heard, but
Well, anyway, I think what Nicky's trying to say is the instruments, they tended not to be in the center, which is pretty interesting, But the vocals did.
okay, right. Well, I guess sure.
Well,
yeah.
when you're speaking of the extremes, it's just it's
Right,
interesting
but
that
you
there
hear
wasn't
the drums.
any.
You hear the drums all the way in the left,
Right.
You know?
What's-
Whereas opposed to a modern day pop or rock song, you'll hear the drums and the bass and the lead vocals all in the center usually.
But it's not just that. I think this song in particular lends itself to not having those in the center because what should be the focus should be centered are on the vocals.
Sure. And I'll tell you,
Although, where was the bass located? I think it was.
it was over here.
Yeah, but that's an iconic bass. So much so, actually.
Dun, dun.
It's a very simple bass, but it really brings to mind. Obviously, it makes me think of Grease.
Summertime, or
Summer Nights.
Summer Nights.
I think that's what it's actually
Summer
called.
11. Is it Summer Light?
Or is it Summer 11? No, I think it's
Summer 11.
actually called Summer Nights. All right, well, yes, once again, Max is right as usual. It is called Summer Nights.
Max is not always right.
I
But
didn't say I'm always right. I said as usual.
it's when you hear the song, you obviously watched us lip syncing throughout most of the song just now, and you can't help but wanting to sing along to this song. It's one of those kinds of songs that you want to belt out with these guys. Top Gun, this song was featured in Top Gun, and it kind of repopularized the song,
Oh,
actually.
did that really
Oh, yeah,
repopularize it?
definitely. And
Well, they're playing it on the piano in the bar.
in the bar,
right?
well, no, Tom Cruise, sings it to Kelly McGillis, actually.
Oh, I thought they're all singing it. No.
Well, they are, but he kind of leads the way,
gotcha, Gotcha.
He's trying to woo this girl.
Kaylee McGillis, not in the new Top Gun.
Apparently, I haven't seen it, but that's what they say.
Well, no, apparently. Well, I was reading an article about it. I haven't seen the new Top Gun.
But anyway, that reinvigorated the popularity of this song, actually. And then obviously, Unchained Melody was
featured
repopularized
in
by
Ghost.
Ghost. And so you really had, and also Bill Medley was one of the singers in the duet for
And the famous Dirty
the
Dancing
famous Dirty
song.
Dancing song,
I've had the time of my
I've
life.
had the time of my life. And so all
Wait.
these things kind of contributed to sort of the Righteous Brothers having this longevity.
I've had the time of my life,
I've had the time of my life.
or is it? Yeah. No, but also Bill Medley was also had another hit in the 80s. Oh, I forget what it is. It was another duet.
He was all about the duets.
It
in the
was
80s.
it was another kind of in the same vein as that kind of song, you know.
But this is a great song, and it is very much a Wall of Sound produced song. Phil Spector's Wall of Sound.
I was reading about
everything is reverbed out. in it.
and I was reading
Even the
about-
background vocals actually, initially when you hear "Baby,"
there are really, really a lot of reverb
wait,
on
wait.
them. But I was reading something about
you're
Phil.
trying hard not to show it, baby. It's almost like you can't even hear them that well because they're so reverbed out.
Right.
It's almost like you just hear the reverb part of it.
Can I?
And that's
can I,
it.
Can I speak? I was just going to say that I was reading an article about Phil Spector's methodology for the Wall of Sound, and apparently he had nothing written down and no exact science to it. He would just kind of do guessing work each time, actually, to get the sound that he wanted. Actually, he wasn't.
Of course, these people, these producers and musicians back then in the 60s, they seemed to have almost an unlimited budget sometimes. I mean, just even look at Brian Wilson with the Pet Sounds recording. I mean,
Well, they had a limited budget.
I know,
and
but
so that was kind of
compared to now, it's just like, wow, you had so much
Sure.
at your disposal.
Well, the
you
music
had
indus-
these, orchestras sometimes, or
Well, a lot of these studios had these in-house orchestras. A lot of movie studios had in-house orchestras at the time. I mean, look, the music industry, obviously, it crumbled, or it didn't crumble completely, but there was a huge change, starting in the early to mid 2000s because of streaming music and,
Sure.
all of that. But, so things changed. I will say, though, starting in the 70s, there was a tendency, especially in the late 70s, a tendency towards what we now call alternative music. But
Anyway, we digress.
so,
This is a great song. I actually had to learn all the lyrics to the song for a short play I was in college, and it was pretty fun. We all had to sing this song together, and it was cool. Anyway, that'll
great
do it
song.
for today's
It's,
reaction to "You've Lost That Love and Feeling" by the Righteous Brothers. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and ding that post notification bell to find out about more Max and Nikki reaction videos.
keep tuning in.